soft, balanced. Together. All right. Welcome in, everybody. Hope you're having a fantastic day. My name is Garrett Shumake, and this is the Shumake Take. And today we are covering my top 10 offensive line prospects coming into the 2024 NFL Draft. And before we really get into it, I just finished building a patio set or patio swing thing today for my mother, and it was a pain in the butt to build. What is it with products, like when it comes to building something like a desk or building like a chair or a swing? Why is it like when you go to build something, why is it that the instructions, they're either not clear, or you have missing pieces, or the metal just isn't cut right and so the screw doesn't go through correctly? Like, why is that? Why is it that things are so cheaply made nowadays, and it's just so much worse? Everything, the production, the quality of everything is so much worse. And I guess it just represents the fact that like everyone now, like it's all about just making as much money as possible. And if you make things cheaper, you can charge more for it, make more money, and then have people buy more product because it's not as good. Like, I remember I saw a video of a refrigerator built in like the '60s. It was really cool. Like, it had like the drawers, like you could open the door and the drawers would like slide out. They like pop out, and they could hold like 20, 30 pounds on them each. They also had like a button where you could slide the height and change the height of each shelf, and also had a bottom freezer, and it would just spin around. So you didn't have to, like, it wasn't like a drawer you could open. It just spun around on a turntable, and the little buckets that held everything, you could just slide them right out. It slid right out for easy cleaning. And I thought to myself, like, and it was like $500. I'm like, right now, I would definitely spend $500 on a 1960s refrigerator if it had all those features and it was built to last. It would last a long time. And now, like, you buy a refrigerator, like $800, $1,000, and it'll last you at most 5 years before you got to buy a new one, right? Because I'm like, the coolant in the freezer breaks or something like that, or in the refrigerator, and all of a sudden it no longer keeps things cold, and you have to buy a new one. And so, like, cheaply made products are just like, that's just the sentiment of today's economy, where it's just about making as much money as possible. But in short, yes, building a patio swing today, that was a big pain in the butt, to make a long story short. But we have to get into these offensive line prospects. One more thing, I'm sorry. I'm going to be mixing, the format's going to be a little different for this video too. So the first video was just all on camera. The second one was on and off. And this one will also be on and off, but I will be recording everything on my computer, all my evaluations on the computer with the better mic. As you can tell, I'm holding a little mini wireless mic right now, and I'm holding it right here to maybe make the audio a little more consistent compared to last time, where it was fluctuating and moving on my shirt a lot. But we're gonna mix it up. Still trying to figure out what I like and what sticks. This new format that we're gonna do today, I might stick with, because I like the element of being on camera, looking at you guys, and then you guys getting to hear the meat and potatoes of the show with the better mic, with graphics where you can actually watch and view something, so it caters to all parties. And going into these offensive line prospects, I'm actually going to go into them right here, but as a little preface, this is probably the best offensive line draft class we've seen ever. It's definitely the best we've seen in a very long time, and I'm very high on it. All the prospects, I'm going to cover the top 10 prospects. All these guys are first-round talents, in my opinion. All of them could go in the first round. I don't think all of them will go in the first round altogether. That's not going to happen. Some of these guys are going to fall into the second. And my rankings may not be, your rankings. A lot of these guys are very interchangeable, depending on what you like in your offensive, what you like in a tackle, or what you like in a center, so on and so forth, right? So this list will, outside of the first couple guys, will be interchangeably changed. Interchangeably changed, yes. Their position, their ranking can be interchanged, and just because I say, I think this guy's going to go in the mid-first round, or this guy's going to go in the late first round, doesn't mean they will. There's a couple guys that I have going into the late, and which we'll get to here in a little while. But I have a couple guys that I have a late first round grade on, that most certainly could easily go in the middle. Like most certainly could go in the middle of the first round, and definitely when we get to the middle of the road picks, or like picks like 4 or 5, or yeah, like 4, 5, 6, 7, all those guys could go in the mid first round, and honestly could go back to back to back. In my opinion, it's possible. And another thing too is I'm only going to be covering offensive line prospects in general, so I'm not going to go into tackle, guard, then center. Unfortunately, it's 9 tackles and then 1 center, and obviously I'm pretty sure everyone can guess who the center is. He's outright the best for sure. So tackles are going to take priority, unfortunately, but all of these guys are very good prospects. I enjoy all of them, and I think you'll enjoy the evaluation that I've done for you guys. And the strengths and weaknesses in the bio, like all the information. Of course, I've done my own research, but the information that you'll be seeing on screen is courtesy to NFL Draft Buzz. I talked about them last episode. They do a ton of great work. They go in depth, very far in depth, with their measurables, how they compare to other prospects, and whatnot. And I highly recommend you go check them out. They do a lot of good work, and I've been using them to gather my opinion, to gather my general opinion, and then fueling my own research. They're definitely the foundation for what I do, for how I evaluate prospects, because they do such a good job. And then I end up watching the film myself and seeing, hey, I disagree with this, hey, I agree with that. But they're definitely the foundation of what I do for sure. And they do, like I said, they do great work. I enjoy reading their analysis. So I highly recommend you go check them out after this video. But we gotta get into it. And we're going to be transitioning to the computer right now. All right, now we're at the computer, and now we got to break down these offensive line prospects, starting with Joe Alt out of Notre Dame, 6'9", 321 pounds, 21 years old. He had a PFF grade of 90.7 last year, and in 12 games, he had 713 snaps, only allowed 1 sack, 2 quarterback hits, and 2 quarterback hurries. And he carries on his father's, John Alt's NFL legacy with a common presence, standing at 6'9", wearing 321. His athletic pedigree is matched by a series of accolades that underscore his on-field dominance. In the 2021 season as a freshman, Alt was thrust into the limelight, starting 8 games and playing 613 snaps. Despite the pressures of the starting role, he allowed only 7 quarterback hurries, 1 QB hit, and 3 sacks. His sophomore year saw further development, an even more impressive stat line. Over 12 games and 807 snaps, Alt's protection was almost impenetrable, conceding a mere 3 quarterback hurries and 2 QB hits without a single sack against him. These stats, coupled with his array of awards, including first-team All-American distinctions from the AP, Pro Football Focus, CBS Sports 24/7 Sports, Action Network, and ESPN.com, along with other multiple second-team recognitions. 2024 was another elite year for Alt, or 2023 for that matter, as he allowed just 1 sack and 5 total pressures while playing left tackle, and was once again awarded with a spot on the first-team All-American team. Getting into his strengths, he boasts a prototypical blindside protector build, marrying a towering and long frame. He exhibits former tight end-like athleticism with explosive first-step quickness, closing in on defenders rapidly and mirroring edge rushers with relative ease. He utilizes his wingspan very well and snap quickness to deliver jarring punches, displacing pass rushers with hip-generated torque and maintaining leverage against power moves. He also combines rare bend with his size and excellent pad level to dominate at the point of attack, sustaining blocks with an ironclad base and active feet. He also employs a refined hand-fighting arsenal, successive punches and resets to consistently gain the upper hand in trench skirmishes. He also adeptly picks up stunts and blitzes and shows an advanced understanding of pass protection sets. And it's not just the pass protector ability that's so good, he also is a dominant force in the run game, with a mauler mentality, leveraging defenders' momentum to watch them out and create alleys for ball carriers. And of course, the dominating pass protector that he is, he showcased a balanced set and a strong anchor with a lateral agility to wall off speed and bull rushers alike. He does have a few weaknesses in his game though that I'd like to see clean up. While his overall footwork is adequate for his stature, it lacks elite quickness in his kick slide, relying more on his reach than ground coverage to protect the edge. This allows him to get beat on the edge outside sometimes, and allows defenders to really out-leverage him if they're able to beat him to the punch. He permits defenders to get too close to his frame sometimes as well, compromising his ability to leverage his wingspan, and he must sharpen his hand technique to dictate engagements at the line at the next level. He also tends to lunge at his opponents, leaving him susceptible to deft pass rush moves, requiring fine-tuning of punch timing to neutralize swim and push and pull maneuvers. And despite his powerful build, he occasionally falters in drive blocking and anchoring, suggesting a need to harness his strength more effectively in run blocking schemes. Joe Alt for me is definitely a first-round talent. I should have said this earlier. I usually do it first, but he's definitely a first-round talent. He's going in the top 10, no doubt about it. He could go at as high as number 5 to the Chargers, and I think as low as he can go is number 7 to the Tennessee Titans. And his stature as a prospect as he is reflects his NFL-ready attributes and immediate starter potential. With elite physical tools and a consistent technique, he epitomizes the plug-and-play archetype that teams covet for the left tackle position. His seamless shift from tight end to tackle at Notre Dame highlights his adaptability and underscores his athleticism. Alt, of course, had the few technical areas to polish in 2022, but with those all pretty much gone now, he stands out as potentially the top pass protector in his class, which I believe to be, projecting a smooth transition to the pro game. His draft stock, supported by his all-prototype makeup and raw athleticism, suggests a trajectory that could see him outperform his already high expectations. Joe Alt is ready to start left tackle day one and will likely have a long, high-level career at the NFL level. And this is the big thing. This is why Joe Alt is number 1 for me. It's because he's so polished and he's so athletic. He's not like a guy that's going to absolutely maul you down. He's not that type of player. He's not like a Tailese Fuaga or JC Latham, who we'll get to later in a minute. That makes sense. But he is a guy who's very athletic. He's very long, and he knows how to use his size to manipulate defenders and bend them against his own will. And like I just mentioned, the polishment, that is why he is the number 1 tackle prospect in the draft by far. And I think he'll start day 1 and could immediately make an impact for a team. And the teams in question that I think would be the best fit, I already talked about them, a couple of them: the Chargers, the Giants, and then of course the Tennessee Titans. Those are the teams that are going to be in line to draft him. I don't think he goes higher than that. I don't think he goes lower than that. I think 5, 6, and 7 is the place that Joe Alt is going to land. Next, we have Tailese Fuaga, the tackle out of Oregon State. He's 6'6", 324 pounds, 21 years old, but at the time of recording this video, April 4th, he actually turns 22 tomorrow on the 5th. So happy early birthday to Mr. Fuaga. His PFF grade was also high at 88.2. And in 12 games, he had 700 snaps, he allowed 0 sacks, only 2 quarterback hits, and then 10 quarterback hurries. Tailese Fuaga, who is an opposing offensive tackle from Oregon State, stands at 6'6", and weighs 324 pounds. And as a redshirt junior, he has made significant strides since his initial rating as a 3-star recruit from Mount Tahoma High School. His journey at Oregon State began with limited playing time, featuring in just 3 games as a freshman. However, he showed promise by allowing no quarterback hurries, hits, or sacks. His sophomore year marked a substantial increase in participation with 12 games and 744 snaps, conceding 8 quarterback hurries and 2 QB hits, but maintaining his record of 0 sacks allowed. In 2023, his performance absolutely peaked. 12 games with 700 snaps. He gave up 10 quarterback hurries, only 2 hits, and still 0 sacks allowed in 3 years. His growth was recognized with the first team All Pac-12 award in 2023, an Outland Trophy semifinalist nomination, and a second team All Pac-12 recognition in 2022. It signals his emergence as a dominant force in the collegiate ranks. Getting in some of his strengths, I really love his mentality. He's an absolute mauler, and that starts with him being in the run game. His ability to control the line of scrimmage in the run game is exceptional. He's able to leverage his size and strength to overpower defenders easily. He is very, very strong. His frame is ready to go. Fuaga's physical stature is ideal for professional play, providing a robust and durable foundation for his blocking abilities. He also has very heavy hands. His impactful handwork stuns defenders, effectively disrupting their momentum and control during engagements. And he also has shown potential for positional versatility. He demonstrates the capability to adapt to various roles on the offensive line, adding very valuable flexibility to any team. I'm going to add on to this really quick. A lot of people thought that he's definitely going to be drafted into the NFL as a right tackle, I think, but I've seen a lot of scouts and analysts talk about maybe him making a transition to left tackle, doing something similar to what Penei Sewell did. And that's, funnily enough, that's the pro comparison that a lot of people compare him to, is Penei Sewell. So definitely some people are out there, and I believe it too. He could be a guy that will play right tackle more than likely, but if you switch him to left tackle, I think after a year he can make that transition and be really, really good, just like Penei was. Continuing on with these strengths, he has very elite explosiveness and range. He exhibits rare agility and quickness for his size, particularly noticeable in his movement to the second level. And along with his play strength, it leads to his aggressive play style. He's known for his proactive and dominant approach, consistently seeking to overpower opponents at the line of scrimmage. And while he's a mauler, he has effective leverage and pad level, which helps with this. He maintains superior leverage due to excellent knee bend and a critical skill for offensive linemen. And he's also very skilled in recovery and redirection. He shows remarkable hip flexibility and the ability to adjust really quickly, essential for countering dynamic defensive strategies. Although there is some things that I'd like to see improve. The first one is his arm length. It's just shy of being elite. It's almost there, but not quite. Well, his arm length is substantial. It's good enough. It's not quite the top tier of like we want it to be, which might potentially affect his reach and effectiveness against elite edge rushers. While some people say that he could switch from right tackle to left tackle, some people I've heard to say that he might transition into guard because of his arm length. But for me personally, I think it's fine. I think he's going to be just fine. I think he's going to be really good at tackle. I don't think he needs to be a guy that moves into guard compared to some of these other linemen maybe on this list and in the class in general. And the limited hip flexibility, I don't get this one personally because definitely his hip flexibility is on point. I like how he's able to move his body around. But sometimes it is true, like I saw that sometimes he'll show challenges in being able to do it quickly. Sometimes it can be a little inconsistent. But at the same time, I don't think it's something that I'm going to really worry about because he's shown that he can have that flexibility. It's shown that he's shown that he can do it. It's not a big limitation to his game, if any at all. The one thing that is more concerning is that he has an upright stance when it comes to pass plays. On passing downs, his tendency to stand too upright can make him vulnerable to powerful bull rushes from defenders. And along with that, sometimes his footwork can be inconsistent. He occasionally struggles to bring his feet along in situations requiring quick redirection, which can leave gaps for defenders to exploit. And while his entire game style of play is aggression, sometimes it can lead to over-aggression, which can lead to overextension and missed timed blocks, particularly in space, and this could also lead to penalties as well at the next level. But overall, his journey to assault from a solid 3-star recruit to a premier offensive tackle in the Pac-12 has been impressive. He embodies the prototypical size and build for an NFL tackle, infused with a skill set that has evolved at Oregon State over the years. On the field, Fuaga's skills in the run game are a standout feature. He employs his strength and mass to bulldoze defenders, setting a physical tone up front. His heavy-handed approach in the trenches underlines his ability to disrupt and control the line, a key asset for any run-heavy NFL offense. In pass protection, Fuaga exhibits foundational skills, balance, hand technique, and lateral movement, essential for a tackle at the professional level. Year-on-year advancements in his play signal not just the player with the necessary physical tools, but one with the dedication and football IQ to harness his potential. His 0 sacks allowed record in recent seasons, or in his college career, speak to his reliability as a protector on the line. Fuaga has a potentially high ceiling talent. Oh my goodness. He has potentially, I can't read this. He has a high ceiling in the NFL, for sure. A team seeking a blend of size, skill, and developmental upside will find Fuaga as an attractive prospect, potentially slotting in as a cornerstone of their offensive line for years to come. The best fits I have for Tailese Fuaga, well, before I get into that, the reason why I like him, unlike Joe Alt, Fuaga is one of these mauler guys that will beat the ever-living crap out of your edge rushers and defensive linemen. He is not afraid to get his hands dirty and absolutely just beat the ever-living crap out of people. And that is something that I love about Fuaga, is it's fearlessness. It's regression, it's fearlessness, and that's why he's my number 2 prospect in the draft over guys like Olu Fashanu and JC Latham. It's because I think he just has higher upside than those guys. And of course, I'm not dissing Latham or Fashanu, but I think Fuaga just has that alpha dog mentality, and also I like the potential versatility of him being able to play left tackle, right tackle. But even though I don't think he would ever make the transition to permanent as guard, I think he'd be able to step in there if possible, if maybe like an injury happens with another starter on the offensive line, the team he goes to. And speaking of the team he goes to, I think he's going to go like anywhere from like maybe even top 10 to the Jets is a team I'd like. But he could also go to a team like the Bengals and the Raiders, kind of like in the early, middle, first round, give or take. I think that's where he's going to go and where he's going to land. Any of those teams in that range that could use a left tackle will definitely be the spot for Fuaga to land. I don't think he's going to go any lower than that. Now, we got to our third guy out of Penn State, Olu Fashanu, 6'6", 312. Did he say? Oh, guys, did not say he was from Penn State, but yes, he's from Penn State. 6'6", 312 pounds, 21 years old, and a PFF grade of 78.8. And in 12 games, he had 722 snaps, allowed 0 sacks, 0 hurries, and 10 QB hits. And Olu, or Olu Fashanu, that's how you pronounce his name, by the way. It's Olu, I think. I'm pretty sure. I did some research on it, but it's pretty close. It's Olu or Olu Fashanu. And he emerged from Gonzaga College High School in Washington, D.C., sharing the field with Caleb Williams, believe it or not. And he was recognized in the 2018 Gatorade Player of the Year. And initially a basketball-focused athlete, Fashanu transitioned to the gridiron during his high school tenure, showing marked improvements year over year. Categorized as a 3-star recruit by both ESPN and 24/7 Sports, he also stood out as the number 45 offensive tackle in the 2020 recruiting cycle. At Penn State, Fashanu redshirted in his 2020 season, making his first starting appearance in 2021's bowl game against Arkansas. He subsequently secured his role as the primary starting left tackle. After that, and in his freshman campaign, Fashanu recorded action in 4 games with 85 snaps, giving up 0 pressures, hits, or sacks. In his sophomore season in 2022, Fashanu logged 8 games with 542 snaps, yielding 6 quarterback hurries, 1 hit, yet again allowing 0 sacks. Despite a setback, missing 5 games from injury in his redshirt sophomore year, Fashanu's on-field performance didn't go unnoticed, earning him All-American accolades. His consistent play, combined with his physical tools, places him on the radar for many NFL scouts. And you can't talk about Olu Fashanu without talking about his athletic ability. He made Bruce Feldman's Freaks list at number 23, and Feldman wrote, I kept on saying Feldman's Feldman. He wrote that running a 4.97 40 this offseason and had a 4.63 shuttle time. That 40 would have tied for best at the NFL Combine among all offensive linemen there. Fashanu, who attributes his agility to all his time spent playing basketball growing up, also bench pressed 405 pounds, squatted 605, and power cleaned 350. Fashanu possesses an ideal height-weight length combination, showing impressive proportion and body mass suitable for an elite tackle prospect. He exhibits natural athleticism in both pass protection and run blocking, executing a diverse array of blocks with expertise. In pass sets, he showcases fluidity, reaching ideal depth quickly and effectively countering defenders with hand punches and counters. He also demonstrates significant hand strength, impacting defenders' pass rush and displays agility to counter and close that distance effectively. As a run blocker, he excels with his athleticism, especially as executing reach blocks, advancing to the second level, and pulling into space with precision. He has remarkable short area athleticism, and his excellent foot speed allows him to quickly adjust blocking angles and square up to defenders in open field scenarios. And he combines his power with athleticism very well, capitalizing on his frame's length and density to maximize punch power and extend to lock defenders. Though he's still developing, Fashanu's evident growth and athletic foundation suggests the high ceiling, drawing comparisons to top-tier offensive line prospects of recent years. And what is all of this but all? Okay, we gotta get into some of his weaknesses. I'm sorry, the script was a little messed up. But getting into some of the weaknesses, despite possessing immense potential, Fashanu sometimes showcases inconsistency in trusting his length, often forfeiting leverage and unnecessarily against defenders. He also has some issues with timing and striking, and allows defenders to breach his chest area, hindering his ability to disrupt their initial punch effectively. Fashanu can occasionally also be caught off balance, overcorrecting against wider alignments, or leaning excessively into blocks, affecting his overall stability. His pad level tends to be high at times as well, compromising his leverage in both pass protection and run blocking, and impacting his overall power at contact. To finish up, Olu Fashanu has become a force at Penn State, known for his exceptional athleticism and build ideal for a left tackle. With solid background as a 2-year starter, he's demonstrated remarkable skills in both pass protection and run blocking, and he excels in pass protection more than he does in run blocking, showcasing advanced footwork and hand technique beyond his years. His ability to understand snap timing and body positioning sets him apart among his rushers of his draft class, along with his skill in handling rushers and keeping the pocket intact. While Fashanu's pass rushing abilities are, of course, very polished, his run blocking shows room for growth. He's quick and effective in initial engagements, but his technique can falter in sustaining blocks, particularly against quicker rushers. Despite these areas for development, Fashanu's overall skill set, including his physical tools and football IQ, position him to be a potential top 10 pick in the 2024 draft. His combination of athletic talent and the potential for further growth makes him a likely candidate for a franchise-caliber blindside protector. And for some of these best team fits, surprisingly the best one I think is Tennessee. Because they hired head coach Brian Callahan, they're going to look for a guy that's more of a suited pass protector. So Olu Fashanu fits that role perfectly well, and he definitely could be the second tackle off the board. I'll just say this right now. Fuaga and Fashanu are two of the guys that you could probably interchangeably switch between who's offensive tackle 2, offensive tackle 3. And definitely, I think that Olu Fashanu has the potential to go higher than Fuaga, just because Tennessee's picking there. Joe Alt could go 5 or 6 for the Chargers, and if that's the case, the Titans really do need a tackle. Although if Alt's not available, I would assume they take a receiver. But outside of Tennessee, the New York Jets are there available at 10. I think he will fall there if it's not Tennessee at 7. And also the Saints. The Saints are an interesting one because they're in desperate need of a tackle, not because of Trevor Penning. He's still developing, but I'm sure he'll be there for a while. But it's because of Ryan Ramczyk and his injury issues. So if you think that you could take Olu Fashanu and take him over there, considering that they're a more passing-oriented offense, maybe you can switch him to right tackle, or maybe you take Trevor Penning and put him at right tackle and see if one of those two guys can make the switch. Although, in my opinion, if you're in New Orleans, you maybe might want to take Fuaga over Fashanu, but I wouldn't be against it. For sure. All right, getting into offensive tackle 4 out of Alabama, J.C. Latham. He's another guy that I think will go in the mid-first round, around where Fuaga I think is going to land, like around that 13 to number 18 range, give or take. He is 6'6", 342 pounds, 21 years old, and a PFF grade of 81.9. In 14 games, he had 874 snaps and only allowed 2 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, and then 9 QB hurries. And he carries a highly decorated pedigree into the NFL draft, compared to most tackles here. A product of IMG Academy High School in Florida, Latham was a standout athlete, earning a 5-star recruit status from ESPN and a 5-star grade from 24/7 Sports, with an almost unheard of 100 grade. His prowess on the field secured his position as one of the top recruits in the nation. Upon joining Alabama, Latham saw significant playing time as a freshman in 21. Over the course of 9 games, he took part in 142 snaps, predominantly at right guard, allowing just 2 quarterback hurries and 2 quarterback hits with no sacks. His performance set a robust foundation for his collegiate career, showcasing his ability to adapt to the collegiate level quickly and very effectively. As a sophomore in 2022, Latham's role expanded significantly. He played in 12 games, taking on 821 snaps at right tackle. In this critical position, Latham was tasked with a vital role of protecting the quarterback, a job he executed with precision. Throughout the season, he allowed 10 quarterback hurries and 1 quarterback hit, yet again did not allow a single sack, maintaining his record of protecting the quarterback at all costs. Latham's journey to Alabama's starting lineup was preceded by a strategic move during his high school years from Wisconsin to IMG Academy, which is actually in Bradenton, Florida, not too far from where I live, where he switched from playing defensive end to left tackle for 2 years. This switch proved instrumental in his development as he went on to claim the starting right tackle position in Alabama in 2022, as we just talked about. His 0 sack statistic over 13 starts at right tackle is a testament to his effectiveness in pass protection. Latham's consistent performance on the field, highlighted by his ability to maintain a clean record in pass blocking, establishes his credentials as he makes the transition to the professional level. And the big thing that you got to talk about with J.C. Latham is his size. This guy is an absolute monster. I mean, 6'6", 342 pounds. He is the father. He will make other offensive line tackle prospects in this draft look like his son. He looks like their dad. Like, he's huge, an absolute ginormous human being, and he possesses more than the prototypical NFL size, arm length, and strength, and he demonstrates a consistent ability to dominate off the line of scrimmage. Despite his size, he exhibits excellent quickness in his pass sets, adeptly gaining depth and positioning to neutralize edge rushers and maintain pocket integrity. He also employs a rhythmic and measured pass set, leveraging his reach to stave off inside rushers coupled with a robust punch and hand power. He also displays a stout anchor in lateral mobility and pass protection, effectively neutralizing speed to power transitions and reacting to defensive counters. Excuse me. In the zone run scheme, his athleticism shines through, achieving reach blocks and backside steals with high efficiency and fluidity. He also demonstrates the gravitational pull coveted by scouts, effectively passing off stunts and engaging with guards, showcasing impressive anticipation and spatial awareness. He also brings formidable hand strength to the table, enabling independent hand usage and capacity to stifle rushers with a vice-like grip and impactful strikes. And to conclude, as a run blocker, he exhibits mauler traits like Fuaga, and his ability to collapse the edge and drive defenders showcases his upper body torque and finishing mentality. Although he has a lot of good stuff going on for him, like every other tackle, there's some stuff I'd like to see him clean up. While Latham initiates with strong contact in the power run game, he needs to enhance his block sustainment by maintaining a solid base and balance. He also exhibits some challenges with weight distribution and discipline, especially on plays requiring horizontal movement, leading to an inability to sustain blocks consistently. His foot speed is tested by rushers with wide pre-snap angles, suggesting a need for refinement in pass set depth to counteract elite edge speed. Despite his powerful hand technique, he occasionally allows defenders to compromise the pocket, indicating a need to improve his base against bull rushers. He was also very penalty prone, with 12 flags in 2022, and a tendency to lunge suggests the need for more disciplined technique to avoid compromising his leverage and effectiveness. But overall, though, his stature is undeniably one of his most formidable attributes, standing at his size of 6'6" and weighing nearly 360 pounds. His size alone demands the attention, and as it provides the quintessential framework for an NFL offensive tackle, their sheer size combined with functional strength makes him a daunting physical presence on the line. And his dimensions are not just for show, they translate to on-field dominance, enabling him to leverage his body effectively against defenders. With his substantial height and mass, Latham embodies the prototypical build that NFL scouts covet for an offensive lineman. It's his very size that allows him to leverage necessary in trench warfare, granting him the upper hand in both pass protection and run blocking scenarios. His reach and length give an expansive radius of control, permitting him to engage and neutralize oncoming rushers with the efficiency that smaller linemen may not be able to replicate. The challenge for him at the next level will be to improve his footwork and agility and make sure they can match. His frame is an asset in stymieing bull rushes and anchoring against power moves, but also it comes with the expectation that he must maintain his balance and not become top-heavy. The ability to harness his size while refining his technique will be critical in solidifying his place as a starter on the line. Sorry, my mind just stopped for a second. But to just conclude, to get to some of his best fits, I think the best place for him, honestly, is Cincinnati or the Raiders. Both of those teams really need a right tackle on their roster, and both are looking to be more of a passing-based offense. So definitely a position where J.C. Latham can go in, start, they can utilize his pass-protecting abilities immediately, and be a guy who can start day one. But if for some reason that he falls, a team that I would love to see him go to is the Dallas Cowboys. Because that offense is absolutely loaded over there. They do need some help on the offensive line in a couple spots, Dallas does. And I think putting J.C. Latham there, a guy with immense talent, and pairing him up with Dak, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, along with some other pieces on that offensive line that I really like, you just build that up against and add a tackle, a really high potential tackle, to an already elite top 10 offense in the league. It would make them that much better. Going in here to a number 5 tackle, we have Troy Fautanu out of Washington. Another guy here that I think could go in the mid first round, maybe late first round. He's 6'4", 317 pounds, 23 years old with a PFF grade of 75.5. And in 15 games, he had 993 snaps, only allowing 2 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, and 18 quarterback hurries. And Fautanu comes from Liberty High School with a background in both football and volleyball, and was rated a 3-star recruit by ESPN and handed a 4-star grade by 24/7 Sports. Following high school, Fautanu opted to join Washington, and in 2020 as a freshman, he saw action in just 1 game and played a total of 12 snaps. But as a sophomore, he played in 7 games and a total of 201 snaps, and where he conceded 4 QB hurries, no QB hits, and 1 sack, while playing the majority of his snaps at left tackle and the rest at left guard. In 2022, as a junior, Fautanu saw action in 12 games and totaled 866 snaps, gave up 12 QB hurries, 2 QB hits, and no sacks while playing most of his snaps at left tackle. And in 2023, he played almost 1,000 snaps and allowed 18 quarterback hurries, only 2 sacks, and 3 quarterback hits. And the big thing for Fautanu is another mauler type of guy, but also he has athletic ability as well. He blends out athleticism, power, and length, which makes him a formidable force on the offensive line. And he also exhibits excellent mobility, effortlessly executing pulls and climbs with burst and precision. He also employs with that with heavy hands to deliver jarring, impactful blows, establishing a physical and dominating presence. We just talked about it with his athleticism. He's agile and proactive in pass protection as well, employing varied strikes to disrupt and confuse pass rushers. He leverages his immense length to maintain control and keep defenders at a strategic distance, and also demonstrates a tactical approach in pass protection, balancing aggression with the strategic strikes. He understands the nuances of perimeter protection coupled with intense strike force, and his remarkable flexibility aids in maintaining an effective stance at pad level at the point of attack. But there is some things that I'd like to see get better though. Sometimes he displays a rushed approach in pass protection, leading to balance issues and vulnerability to more strategic rushers. He's also inconsistent in his positioning and can lead to quick losses against rushers with complex, deceptive moves. And while he's aggressive, his hand usage sometimes lacks precision, leading to control issues, and he needs to refine the precision and application of his functional power for consistent positive movement. He also must maintain his more disciplined hand placement to ensure sustained control during engagements. And as a run blocker, he is not the best in that regard and will need to refine his technique, especially in playing in a more traditional offense at the next level. But despite all that, Troy Fautanu has established himself as a premier pass protector, showcasing his exceptional footwork, agility, and the ability to neutralize advanced pass rush techniques. His ability to maintain pocket integrity is a standout trait, and his technique in pass sets, especially with his hand usage and ability to redirect rushers, reflects a high football IQ and adaptability on the line. However, transitioning to the run game, Fautanu's tape shows areas for growth. While he possesses the requisite burst and mobility for effective run blocking, his execution lacks consistency. To elevate his game, focusing on refining his pad level, drive, and hand placement will be critical. Developing a more consistent anchor and enhancing his ability to generate push at the line of scrimmage will round out his skill set, making him a more complete lineman. From a draft perspective, it's the pass protection that makes him so high. With the potential for an early selection, his skill set offers immediate value, particularly for teams emphasizing the pass-heavy offenses. If he can bridge the gap between his pass protection excellence and run-blocking potential, Fautanu could evolve into a complete lineman and be one of the best, or could be the best, in the league. And given the demand for solid pass-protecting tackles in the NFL, and given how deep this draft tackle class is, he is definitely going day one for sure. And going into some of these fits here, I'm going to say it again, Cincinnati. The thing is, with a lot of these these best fits, they're not really places where I think they'll be the best. I think it's just where they're going to be drafted, and you're going to see a lot of these teams get repeated a lot and a ton, just because these teams desperately, or maybe not desperately at the least, but they do need a tackle in the draft. And because the tackle class is so deep, it would not hurt to definitely get one of these higher ranked. I mean, you could definitely get one of these higher ranked guys like Fautanu, Fuaga, Latham, and a couple guys we're going to get to here in a second. Excuse me. But another team I'd like to see is Miami. Terron Armstead is good, but he's definitely getting older and he can't stay healthy. But I think because he needs a little bit more development in the run game, I think if you draft Fautanu in the first round and let him sit for a year, maybe two, behind Terron Armstead and learn against one of the better left tackles in the NFL when healthy, I think that could help his development immensely to where he could be a staple for that Miami offensive line, blocking for Tua Tagovailoa for years to come. And Dallas is also another team on this list if he also falls. Like I talked about earlier, a lot of these tackles, like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a lot of these guys are definitely interchangeable depending on who you think is better or who you think is lower. And definitely, like, when I say, like, oh, it's Fashanu, Latham, and then Fautanu, I'm not saying like that's where I think they're gonna go. Like, it definitely could be, and like honestly, Fautanu could easily be like the 4th tackle off the board. I mean, I don't think that'll happen, but it wouldn't surprise me. It definitely would not surprise me if that happened. But overall, I like Fautanu a lot. He's a really good pass protector. His limitations on the run game and his lack of development are concerning, but if he goes to the right team, he can definitely sit and learn and be able to develop those skill sets, and then when it's time for him to come on the field, he will be ready to dominate. Alright, and our next guy, Amarius Mims out of Georgia, another one of these guys that I think will go in the mid-first round. He's 6'8", 340 pounds, 21 years old, a PFF grade of 75.6, and last year he only played 7 games and had 297 pass blocking snaps, so just under 300, allowing 0 sacks, 0 quarterback hits, and 1 quarterback hurry. And he's another 5-star recruit who played sparingly until his final season. He started just 2 games in 2022, but showed promise in the college football playoff. And in 2023, an ankle injury requiring tightrope surgery limited his playing time, and despite his starts, he has garnered early round interest in the 24 NFL draft. Of course, just like JC Latham, you heard the numbers, 6'8", 340 pounds. This is another guy who's an absolute freaking monster. A guy who quite literally is a human giant. And that's why I like JC Latham and Amarius Mims so much in this draft, because whatever team they go to, I mean, they are getting an absolute unit of a human being, and nothing is more fun than watching highlights of Amarius Mims and JC Latham absolutely just pushing people over with relative ease. It is so fun to watch, and it's funny because I mean, he is literally pushing these kids down like it's a kid or like a guy messing with his little brother. It's so fun to watch and so entertaining. And definitely with his strengths, it's his size. It's his size. It's the biggest thing that he's got going for him. No pun intended. But his frame is massive, a really good mass and length, and he doesn't carry any bad weight either, which is good. And he's very explosive, a very high energy athlete, akin to a move tight end in open space. He is very quick, and he also has exceptional rotational freedom, length, and frame density to contribute to his hyper elite power capacity. He's also effective in loading his base and generating torque through extensions, easily displacing defensive linemen off the snap. We just talked about it with his energy and his rotational freedom. He is impressively agile in lateral movements, adept at matching stunting pass rushers. He also utilizes his hinge flexibility to adjust alignment effectively and just excels in pass protection situations through a combination of athleticism, strength, and impressive wingspan. And he also shows to have a strong understanding of leveraging in pass protection, employing a controlled lean knee bend to extend his reach. Like JC Latham, he tends to play too tall into contact, which can negate his strong base. He also occasionally stalls his leg drive post-initial contact, leading to lost displacement opportunities. He's also prone to missing optimal angles in space, coupled with the lack of elite recovery flexibility. His front foot positioning can sometimes impact balance against powerful opponents as well, something I picked up on. And his hand fighting techniques need refinement for more precision and speed. But overall, he showcases a rare blend of size, athleticism, and strength, just like JC Latham, and his journey to the draft is reminiscent of other late bloomers who made a significant impact in their final collegiate seasons. Despite a limited number of starts and concerns regarding his durability, Mims' physical attributes and on-field performances have kept him in the conversation for a high draft pick, and rightfully so. His ability to adapt to various situations along the offensive line, combined with his innate physical talent, make him an option for NFL teams looking for a cornerstone offensive tackle who may not be quite ready yet, but who possesses great upside. And a couple other teams here, of course, Cincinnati, New Orleans, and the Raiders. Definitely the Raiders and Cincinnati. Of course, they're going to be here a couple more times. I can't talk about them enough with a broken record, but New Orleans could be very interesting, a very interesting situation, because if for some reason Fuaga's off the board, I can't remember where New Orleans is picking in the draft. I think they're picking like at 15th or 16th or something like that. It's very, very close because they finished like 8-9 or 9-8. So it's very possible that some of these other tackles above him could be there and they'll take them. But if for some reason they're gone, definitely New Orleans should take this guy and give him an opportunity while it could be interesting because Trevor Penning is another guy that took in the first round, I think 2 years ago, and he's also more of a developmental guy. But I mean, you get two guys on your left and right tackle with super, super high upside, and if you get them to develop and you get it right, oh my goodness, you'll have your both sides covered for a very, very long time. And now we got to get to our only non-tackle in this list, and it is, of course, the center. I mentioned, I kind of foreshadowed him earlier, Jackson Powers Johnson out of Oregon, a guy who's going to go in the mid-first round at the lowest early second, but I think he would end up going in the early second because of positional need of other teams and other players that are also highly touted. But I believe he will go around. I think more than likely he'll go in the late first round, if I had to guess, somewhere in the 20s. But regardless, he's 6'3", 328 pounds, 21 years old, with a PFF grade of 84.5. In 13 games, he had 829 snaps with 0 sacks allowed, 0 quarterback hits, and only 1 quarterback hurry. And he emerges from Corner Canyon High School as a 4-star recruit, and he made a significant impact at Oregon. In 2021, he played 7 games, allowing for just 1 quarterback hurry, and his performance improved in 2022 with 11 games maintaining stellar protection. By 2023, as a junior, he played in 13 games, upholding his reputation by allowing only minimal pressures at the quarterback. Noteworthy is a unanimous All-American selection and winning the Remington Trophy, showcasing his sectional skills as a center. By the way, if you don't know what the Remington Trophy is, it's the trophy or award given to the best center in college football. Getting into his strengths here, he exhibits a broad, barrel-chested frame with an excellent athletic ability and power. He demonstrates outstanding initial quickness and agility, enabling explosive movements out of his stance. Strong hands and shoulders deliver significant impact on double-team blocks and in torque to uproot defenders. Along with his strength, he also has fluid movement on climbs and screens, effectively engaging and overpowering smaller targets. He's also capable of clearing the pocket against adjacent rushers, ensuring robust pass protection. And he's able to maintain that performance under pressure, evident from playing through injuries without sacrificing his power, which is something really cool to look at. He brings a tone-setting demeanor to the field with an ability to enforce his will on defenders, and he's got a quick twitch, explosive run blocker, excelling in both gap and zone schemes. However, one of his weaknesses is that he has an upright playing style, and wide hand placement will sometimes expose his chest to defenders, leading to stalemates. His occasional oversetting on wide rush alignments can compromise pass protection effectiveness, and he's also limited by average at best length, impacting block range and sustainability against longer defenders. Oh boy. Keyboard just came up. Ooh. 1 second. Sorry. And sometimes he will also lose balance when exerting power due to lifting his feet off the ground, and can be prone to holding calls due to grabby hands when beat by counter moves. But overall, he enters the NFL draft as the top interior offensive line prospect, showcasing a solid mix of athleticism, power, and technique from his time at Oregon. He won the Remington Trophy, of course, and earned All-American honors, underlying his dominance at the collegiate level. And his tape reveals a player who is NFL ready, capable of stepping in as a day one starter. Powers Johnson's performance against top college competition has proven that he can handle the transition to the pros, where his skill set will be highly valued for both run and pass blocking. Technical adjustments, particularly in reducing his upright stance and improving hand placement, are on the to-do list to ensure that he maximizes his effectiveness against NFL defensive linemen. These tweaks are manageable and typical for rookies making the leap. Given his ability to adapt and excel in various blocking schemes, Powers Johnson is viewed as a scheme-versatile lineman, a quality highly sought after by NFL teams looking for flexibility and durability up front. His immediate impact and long-term potential make him a compelling first-round pick. His combination of size, strength, and agility will fit the mold of a modern NFL offensive lineman, capable of anchoring in an online O-line for years. Teams in need of a plug-and-play interior offensive lineman will find his attributes align well with the demands of the professional play, and he isn't just draft-ready. He is poised to be a key piece in an NFL lineup, offering both high-floor reliability and a potentially high-ceiling future. And some of the best fits that I think that Powers Johnson could go to, Miami is a spot I would love to see that, especially with their offense. Pittsburgh is also a sleeper option for me personally. They could use a center there, and although I think that Pittsburgh is going to go with wide receiver in the first round, I think they have to, in my opinion. But I think the best fit for him is Seattle. The Seahawks do have 2 young tackles in Charles Cross and, what's his name? The right tackle. Someone just name for me in the comments. I'm so sorry. But you get those two guys, and then you get Jackson Powers Johnson, who will immediately solidify the interior of that offensive line, I believe. I believe he could be. And I think you definitely have a young and promising offensive line there in Seattle that can definitely help Geno Smith and help all those receivers out there that are so fun to watch. Next up, we have Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma. I have him viewed as a late first-round talent. He's 6'8", 322 pounds, 22 years old, and has a PFF grade of 63.7. And in 10 games, he had 663 snaps, allowing 0 sacks, only 3 QB hits, and 9 QB hurries. He comes from Manor High School and was rated as a 3-star prospect by ESPN and 24/7 Sports. And following high school, he opted to join TCU. In 2020, as a freshman, he saw action in just 1 game and played a total of 4 snaps, allowing no hurries, no hits, no sacks. And as a sophomore, he played 7 games and a total of 25 snaps and conceded 1 hurry, no hits, no sacks, while playing the majority of his snaps at left tackle and the rest at left guard. At the end of the season, Guyton transferred to Oklahoma, where as a junior, he saw action in 8 games and total of 311 snaps, and gave up just 2 QB hurries, no hits, and 1 sack, while playing most of the snaps at right tackle. In 2023, he played 10 games, 662 snaps for the Sooners, and allowed 9 QB hurries, 3 QB hits, and no sacks, while playing at right tackle. And the big thing for him is his size and his frame. It's more than ideal for the physical demands of the NFL and for an offensive tackle, and he displays a superior athleticism for his size with nimble footwork that allows for effective engagement and maneuverability against defenders. He has also impressive explosiveness off the snap, especially in run blocking, showcasing the ability to open lanes and dominate in the run game. He also exhibits a broad range as a puller, adept to navigating insecure running lanes, and displaying a notable capacity for movement in open space. And he's also powerful in his engagement with the defenders overall, utilizing his length and burst to effectively control and overpower the opposition. He also is able to consistently maintain his balance and leverage, crucial for re-anchoring and sustaining blocks against powerful defensive efforts. He's also capable of precise and disciplined pass protection, managing depth and alignment to effectively neutralize pass rush threats. And he also demonstrates a high level of technical skill in pass sets in general, due to control and power application that sets him apart. One of the things that I don't like about Tyler Guyton is that while his size is advantageous, his arm length and leverage may not be considered elite, potentially limiting maximum effectiveness against top-tier defenders. He also has occasional lapses in hand placement and grip strength, which highlights areas for improvement in sustaining blocks and controlling his engagements. His tall stature sometimes will complicate his ability to achieve optimal pad level, particularly against lower and quicker defensive linemen. He's also shown to experience challenges in adjusting on the fly to complex defensive schemes, such as stunts and gap exchanges, which indicates a need for enhanced play recognition. And of course, we got to talk about it, his limited starting experience at the collegiate level, which raises questions about his readiness and adaptability to the professional game's demands. And he's also limited as a run blocker, where he's often late at the line and lets the running back outrun him. Overall, though, he stands out primarily for his impact in pass protection like some of these other guys, of course, whereas frame and athleticism are prototypical. Tyler Guyton's adeptness at reading defensive schemes and his quickness in setting up have allowed him to excel as a pass blocker at Oklahoma, and his ability to anchor against power moves and lateral quickness to counter speed rushes highlights his potential as a reliable protector on the backside of NFL offenses. However, his performance as a run blocker, while promising, shows much room for growth. His physical attributes suggest the capacity to dominate in the run game, yet consistently in execution and leverage, it's been less evident. Improvements in hand placement and driving defenders off the ball are areas where Guyton could enhance his impact, balancing his overall contribution to the offensive line. To conclude, his draft stock is buoyed by his superior pass blocking skills, offering immediate value to teams looking for a tackle capable of safeguarding their quarterback. While his run blocking awaits further development, the foundations are there for Tyler Guyton to evolve into a more complete lineman. NFL teams with a pass-heavy approach might find him especially attractive, viewing him as a project with the high upside that, with targeted coaching, could result in a more balanced starting-level offensive tackle. And for some of these best fits, I'm already going to list them off. You already know about it: Dallas, Cincinnati, and Las Vegas. But a couple teams that I really would like to see him go to, number one would be Baltimore. Baltimore, although it doesn't really seem like a scheme fit, considering that he's more of a pass protector than he is a run blocker, and Baltimore was the best running team in football last year, They did lose. The Baltimore Ravens did lose Morgan Moses. They traded him to the Jets, I believe. Pretty sure. I don't know if they traded him to the Jets. I think regardless, that's not the point. The point is they have a hole at right tackle, and definitely, if you want him to develop his run blocking ability, there's no better place for him to go than Baltimore, because he's going to work on running the football a ton, and he's definitely going to get a ton of reps at it. And the best way to get better is playing. So if you want him to get better at his run blocking, probably the best bet for him to go is to the best best rushing team in the NFL, where he's going to do it a ton, and it's going to force him to have to get better. And when it comes time to pass the ball and protect Lamar Jackson, he's already good enough to be able to do that. So there will not be any worries there. But Kansas City is probably the option that I'd love for him to go. If he manages to fall to 32, Kansas City should scoop him up immediately. Imagine you have an offensive line with Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, and then Tyler Guyton on the right side. And considering that Kansas City is of course, pass-oriented offense, it would definitely allow him to have some, to excel in his pass blocking ability and allow his run blocking to develop more naturally compared to Baltimore, where he'd be forced to, get it right away for the most part. Sorry. But I think KC is a sleeper pick for him, or sleeper landing spot for him. If he manages to fall to 32, I think Kansas City should scoop him up. Definitely a guy that they could work on as a developmental guy with super high upside, and would definitely make that offensive line that much more deadly for Kansas City. Okay, and now we got our next guy, Graham Barton out of Duke, a guy that I have as a late first round pick, early second round. He is 6'5", 313 pounds, 21 years old, and has a PFF grade of 75.9. In 9 games, he had 496 snaps, just under 500, allowed only 2 sacks, 0 quarterbacks hits, and then only 9 quarterback hurries. And Graham Barton is a guy from Ravenwood High School in Tennessee, and was rated a 3-star recruit by ESPN and 24/7 Sports. And following high school, he joined Duke. Where in 2020 as a freshman, he saw action in 6 games and played a total of 430 snaps for the Blue Devils, and allowed 5 QB hurries, 4 QB hits, and 0 sacks while playing at center. As a sophomore in 21, he played in 12 games, 747 snaps, and conceded 10 QB hurries, 4 QB hits, and 6 sacks while playing at left tackle. In 2022, he saw action in 12 games, 826 snaps, 8 QB hurries, no QB hits, and only 2 sacks. And in 2023, he showed everything up, and his numbers went down exceptionally. And the big thing for Barton is that he embodies explosive power from the snap, leveraging burst into formidable blocking force. He excels in space blocking, showcasing range, tenacity, and a relentless drive to finish. He brings a robust and proportional frame, efficiently distributing mass to optimize blocking leverage. He's also flexible and adaptable, which allows him to sustain leverage and adjust mid-rep, crucial for maintaining control. He also deploys a wide base and controlled hand placement to envelop an anchor against rushers effectively. And his football IQ and versatility shine as well, processing in-game dynamics seamlessly across multiple line positions. His background at center and athleticism make him a fit for zone schemes, offering rare mobility for his size, and he also exhibits that scrapper mentality, tenaciously fighting for real estate and maintaining block control. But the big thing with one of the big downsides for Barton is his arm length is near average and can prompt a shift from tackle to an interior position at the professional level. Some people might see him as a guard. I personally, it's hard for me because I don't want to say this guy's coming to the NFL as a tackle and he's going to play guard. But at the same time, that might be the best fit for him. But I'm not going to be the guy. I can't say outright that you should move into guard. No, I think he can figure it out at left tackle. Although if he goes into guard, he might be in a better situation. But I'm wondering to see what he can do at tackle in the NFL first before just deciding that he could go into guard. But following along with that, at times he exposes his frame to power moves due to hand placement and stance nuances. He's also vulnerable to sophisticated rush techniques, occasionally misjudging strike timing and positioning. And while his tenacity is a strength, it can lead to technique oversights, particularly in pass protection scenarios, and he also needs to fine-tune his blocking consistency overall, ensuring optimal use of his physical attributes against NFL caliber opponents. But overall, he presents a multifaceted offensive line prospect whose collegiate tenure at Duke has primed him for the physical and mental rigors of the NFL. His initial burst off the line and his ability to maintain blocks in space showcase NFL-ready attributes, particularly in zone blocking schemes where his agility and spatial intelligence can be maximized. Yet, the leap to the NFL will test his adaptability, especially against the more complex defensive structures and caliber of pass rushers at the professional level. His arm length hovering over on average could be a leverage point for the NFL defenders, potentially steering him towards a guard position, where strength and blocking stability can be more effectively utilized. Regardless, his relentless approach to football acumen are apparent from his steady ascent and consistent performance at Duke. His leverage technique, core stability, and balance enable him to secure and extend blocks, creating pathways in the run game, a trait NFL teams prize in linemen who can bring a tenacious and enduring presence to the field. However, the technical aspects of his game, especially in the pass protection, will require refinement. His footwork at times leave him susceptible to edge rushers, and his hand strike and timing can grant quick access to defensive linemen. These technical nuances are coachable, but underscore developmental curve essential for Barton to transition successfully into an NFL starter. His ability to play across the line is also a valuable asset, offering teams flexibility and offensive line configuration. The critical factor for Barton will be his capacity to assimilate NFL-level coaching, particularly honing all of his technique to mitigate the challenges posed by his arm length and in optimizing his athletic capabilities. If he can evolve these aspects to his game, Barton's potential as an impactful and versatile NFL lineman is significant. His evolution from a 3-star recruit to a notable NFL prospect is indicative of his growth trajectory and potential, hinting that with the appropriate development support, he could solidify his place as a dependable, versatile lineman in the NFL. And some of the best fits for him, I think, definitely Miami. Miami's one where you could use a versatile lineman like that, where he can go move in a bunch of different places. Maybe he doesn't stay in one spot, like some people think. Maybe he is a guy who plays a little bit at tackle, plays a little bit at center, maybe plays a little bit at guard. Definitely a guy who can just move around and do what you need him to do. And especially if you got a guy that goes down, he will be a guy that will be able to make the transition inside and will really be serviceable at least for that team. But Green Bay is a team that I'd like to see him pick up, because although he would definitely need to improve his pass blocking, and the Green Bay is more of a pass blocking team, I think this is one of those situations, kind of like Tyler Guyton in Baltimore, where he's going to get a ton of reps at it, and the only way to really get better is to just do it. So forcing him in that role to be able to just quickly get it down as quick as possible, it may not be the best developmental situation for him, but at the same time, it probably might be the best place for him to grow and learn, especially because the Packers' offensive line, the pieces around him are also pretty good, so it would help him develop nicely. And to finally conclude this list, we have Jordan Morgan out of Arizona, another guy that I have late first round, early second round, 6'5", 311 pounds, with a PFF grade of 83.5. In 12 games, he had 787 snaps, only allowed 2 sacks, 1 QB hit, and 11 QB hurries. And he comes from Marana High School and was initially a 3-star recruit and opted for Arizona, and he immediately made an impact there. His 2019 freshman year featured a participation in 4 games with 94 snaps, where he impressively allowed no sacks. In the subsequent years at Arizona, showcased his development and resilience, especially following an ACL tear in 2022. Returning stronger in 2023, Morgan earned first-team All-Pac-12 honors and solidified his standing in the 2024 NFL Draft. And the big thing that jumps off for me is his explosive, high-energy athlete at the snap, moving and recalibrating with ease. He displays rare change of direction and corrected foot speed for leverage recovery, and he's high mass, well-proportioned blocker with excellent frame density and solid length. He also has swift lateral burst to match stunting rushers, maintaining phase alignment, and exceptional knee bend for his size, ensuring a stable center of gravity. He's also natural at acquiring leverage and maintaining proper pad level with rotational flexibility, and that knee bend and leverage acquisition contribute to dominating torque capacity. He can also overpower edge setters with formidable torque, quickly realigning post-extension. The big thing about him is also his arm length. It's not good, or I should say, it's not elite, and it affects his power and margin for error. He also has a tendency to drift upright in zone run blocks, reducing power effectiveness, and he also occasionally fails to bring his base into front-side zone blocks, affecting balance, and can also be uncontrolled in maintaining angles and from flipping his hips on gap runs. And lastly, he sometimes exhibits wasted motion and false steps off the snap. To conclude, He has a solid projection as a top 50 pick and is a standout on 2024 offensive tackle class. Like I mentioned, late first round, early day 2. And his blend of size, athleticism, and skill, especially bouncing back from his ACL injury, positions him well for the pro game. His potential as an outstanding pass protector is evident, showcasing balance, strength, and superior leverage abilities. However, his run blocking feels while decent, need refinement and expansion beyond basic zone concepts. Despite concerns about his arm length and medical history, Morgan's overall ability and adaptability make him a high value pick, possibly transitioning successful to guard if needed. And he's a guy that I think he's going to be one of those guys where I think he's going to fall into the second round. But definitely, I think he'll go to Washington or New England. He could go as high as 34 and 35. Because he has a lot of high upside, and that would happen if all his other linemen above him. I don't think 9 offensive linemen are going to go in the first round, although it would not. I guess it would be a little surprising, given 33% of the entire first round is offensive linemen. That'd be pretty nuts. But definitely, I think he'll end up falling in the second round inevitably because of the depth of this tackle class. But definitely, I would like to see him in Washington, New England, Green Bay. Any of these teams that need tackle help and guys that can get a guy that they can just develop over a couple years and really, and let him loose after year 2, year 3. Definitely a guy with a lot of high upside for sure. All right, and I'm back here on camera. Hope you missed me, but that is going to do it for me today, and I hope you guys really enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun putting this one together. I really enjoyed watching all these offensive linemen do their stuff, and definitely, it is one of the best offensive line prospects or draft classes we have ever seen, and I hope you guys like it. It was so much fun, like I said. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you on the next one.